Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us wherever you are. As I always say, hit that subscribe button, share the show, let other people know about it. We get to talk to some pretty amazing people on here, and that's why we have this segment. It's called Who's Got Game, where we partner with Full Screen to talk to amazing content creators, and that's what we're doing right now. The man behind Sharpe Sports, it's Marcus Sharpe joining us. Marcus, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We've got a lot of questions for you. I want to talk about everything that you got going on, but we always like to kind of start at the beginning. How did you get into this? And maybe you can tell everybody just a little bit more about what your channel does.
Okay, so I used to play high school football, and so I went to a kind of smaller school, and I felt like I had talent, but I wasn't really in the best system. Obviously, could have gone to a bigger high school, things like that. And so I knew, okay, if I felt like that, where I had talent, but I maybe didn't get the platform that I should have had or could have possibly been on, I thought maybe I could do that for other people. So my channel is really focused on shining a light on high school athletes. And if you got talent, no matter where you're at in the country, I want to give you a platform that constantly is growing. To maybe a coach stumbles across a video, or maybe a coach's kid stumbles across a video. It's like, hey dad, this kid's got game, or like, hey mom, this kid's got game. And then potentially get them some exposure.
Nice. And with that, going into something like this where you're getting, these videos, and I want to talk about that process too, but what is it like kind of having a football recruiting channel like this where you're showcasing high school sports? Because there's other ones out there, there's the big ones like 24/7 Sports and Rivals. What's it like going up against like something like that?
So I've always looked at it as I'm in a very unique position. So for example, 24/7 Sports or Rivals, you could consider them like an ESPN. Whereas I look at myself as like a Stephen A. Smith, like a person, like an actual face behind a brand. So whereas obviously every kid wants to be featured on ESPN, every kid wants to be featured on 24/7 Sports, but there's something a little bit more personal when it's like, oh no, that's Sharpe. Like Sharpe just covered me. Like, oh man, like, he just featured me on his YouTube channel. Like there's something a little bit more personal. And then on top of that, to be able to give them some, hype them up a little bit, because they have enough people telling them they can't do it. So to hype them up a little bit while also giving them some tips that I know of just from the years I've played football and the studying that I do in football. It's just a little unique position that's where I feel like my niche is in this whole recruiting game.
Well, for the videos themselves and for these different high school athletes, how do you get the content? Do they send it into you or do you seek it out?
So it's a mix of both. It kind of goes 50-50. So either I'll have the player themselves reach out to me, or I'll go, Hudl is a great website that literally just has everybody's highlight tape. And so most of these kids make their own highlight tapes. And then if you just type in their name in the school that they go to, you can just find it right there online. And so yeah, it's pretty easy to find the highlight tapes, or they'll just send it to me directly.
Well, you mentioned, playing football yourself. How have things changed, I guess, from your recruiting process, what it was like when you started, to where it is now with social media and the different things that are available to these players?
It's in a much better place, because I've always looked at it as like, obviously you got college recruiters who are paid very well to try and find talent from all across the country. But obviously you can't get to every little town and these back road areas, but there's talented kids all across the country. So I mean, I'll be on Twitter and I'll see like low level Division I coaches just tweeting out, hey, any player at any position, if you guys have a highlight tape, send it in to me, because we're trying to recruit. So with just the whole social media thing, coaches can reach a wider audience, and they don't have to drive or fly everywhere to be able to find talent in these smaller areas. And so I feel like recruiting is it's going in a much better direction, especially with social media being able to help out with that.
Well, looking at things now, just with where everything is, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, nobody planned for that, but with a lot of programs as far as college football, they're pushing things off to maybe the spring or who knows. What kind of advice would you have for seniors who maybe didn't even get to graduate necessarily, but are wanting to plan ahead? What advice would you have for them as far as recruiting?
If you're a high school senior and you don't have any offers, find your nearest junior college. Junior college is something that I wish was taught to me. For the most part, you're probably going to get, if you did well in school, you're going to get most of your tuition covered by student loan, or not student loans, type of like just any type of loan program or something like that. You're going to get covered through that. while it's also giving you a chance to see what college football is like, get to be in that experience. Okay, maybe you get to be away from mom and dad, you get to see how you do on your own, but you're not taking on those massive 4-year student loans. So, hey, if you don't have any offers, go to a junior college, because it's going to be the best way for you to spend a year or two at that program, and then potentially you could transfer with a scholarship to potentially one of your dream schools.
Nice. Something else that we like to ask everybody, you know, that we are a tech show. We always like to ask, like, what's one piece of tech that you wouldn't be able to live without right now?
OBS. OBS is such an amazing
Nice.
program. It's what I'm pretty sure you guys know what it is. Anybody who's on Twitch definitely knows what it is. Basically, it's a screen recording software, but it's so much deeper than that. I mean, you can add overlays. You can, if I had a green screen behind me, I can key out the green screen. It's a very powerful tool, but it's also very simple, and it just makes my life very, very easy.
You're the first person to have that answer. That's a good solid answer that you got. Most people just say their phone. OBS. All right, good looking at it for something else too, just for your channel in particular. Where do you see this going? How do you want to grow this, and you know where do you want to end up with it?
So I really want to develop this. And okay, so right now it's like, okay, I watch kids highlights and it kind of grows from there. I really want it to be more of a sports media brand, like a 24/7 sports, but developing that into its own community. So like hosting my own 7-on-7 camps, hosting my own showcase camps. Just doing is my goal is I want every kid, if you're a D1 athlete, I want you to go to a D1 school. If you're a D2 athlete, I want you to go to a D2 school. If you're a D3 athlete, same thing. Like, I don't want anybody to slip through the cracks. If one kid gets a scholarship because a coach watched my video, hey, my job is done. So I really want to grow this into as big of a brand so that, hey, kids resonate with it, coaches resonate with it, and it's just a good melting pot to help just get kids to continue their dream of playing high school or to play football just in general.
Nice. Well, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about, you know, just everything that you had going on there, do the future, and what you're doing. Definitely entertaining. Congratulations on what you've grown so far. Excited to see where you go with it too. And everybody follow along the link right down there. So Sharpe Life. And Marcus, thanks for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you for having me.